Outstanding.
Welcome again to another tutorial video. It's your boy Eldorado and Ting. Today, in a series of video we could do is talk about budget dancehall producers. However, I'm not certain if me see a video really targeting dancehall producers overall and about the whole music thing. I don't think me see that yet. However, I think me go do it because I do it safe. But we're not really explaining all of that. First and foremost on this list is computers and OS. Whether I use a Windows laptop or whether I use a Apple laptop, or in cases where you might use Windows desktop or use Apple iMac, it really makes subtle differences because of what people really used to, or probably what you want, or what fit best in your work environment, or the budget we really depend. All right, so make we start with like laptops. Generally them say more expensive things is good. However, in most cases that is not the case. Now say it's true, it's not true, but for this particular thing that we are doing, music, we really have to look at specs when it comes on to computers. However, for a laptop, I wouldn't advise you to buy a laptop with a Celeron processor within it, because those processors are like the people who are surf the web, go on YouTube, go watch do the video and do like a Microsoft Word. So I would advise you to buy a laptop with a Celeron processor in it. So things you can really look out for is the size. You can buy between 14-inch laptop and 15 inches in screen, and the memory where most DAW will require, or say minimum requirements for you run them DAW is 8 gig. So you really have to look for something with 8 gig and over for run your programs. Next thing you really want to look on a hard drive space. 500 gigs and over, one would I really recommend. And the type of hard drive would I recommend if you use within a laptop is SSD hard drives, in which most laptops will really sell at these convenience stores really come with magnetic hard drives in them, in which they are a bit slower than, they are way more slower than SSD, and programs take long to read and you have long startup times and all of that. So if you so happen to buy a laptop with a magnetic hard drive inside of it, I would strongly advise you to change it to a SSD. And if you know really use the burner, if you really burn CD or watch a movie and the idle time, you can really take out the burning tree and change it over to this I can't remember right now what they call it, but you can put hard drive in that and replace it, so it acts as a slave drive within the laptop. So you can have two hard drives within the laptop. And last but not least, so we not really pass, is the CPU. For laptops, I wouldn't advise you to buy any laptop with a processing power of Core i5 or lower. Core i5 is recommended, or you buy something with Core i7 installed. However, the generation of CPU within a laptop has a lot to do with its performance. However, I think I would strongly advise you to do some research within CPU generation. For me, I wouldn't recommend anything below a third gen for whosoever is buying the laptop. So the I, then the series of processor, then the number that starts it tell you what generation of CPU is within it. So if it's a Core i5 or a Core i7 third gen, you would see Core i5 or i7 starting with a 3 and 3 more digits after that. So I really can't get into the whole detail of the Core i series, but Core i5 is what is recommended, or what may they recommend, are Core i7 for higher performance, or better performance, with 4 cores, 8 threads, another computer geeky stuff that. So next question, I know you probably might ask, what if you buy either Windows operating laptops or Apple operating laptops, OS X base model laptops that strong. It is just Apple. It is confusing. Anyways, for me personally, I grew up on Windows, so even up until this very day, I still use Windows. I have an iMac desktop in which I haven't been using it from ever since I bought it. I just bought it for recording purposes, but I haven't hooked it up yet permanently at the studio, but I still have it. What I would strongly recommend is that Windows-based systems are very cheaper, and they tend to give a slight hiccup whenever it wants to update, or whenever it's downloading updates for your system. However, it is stable as far as I can tell. But remember, for Windows-based computer, I have 1,000,001 different manufacturers, so it will give hiccups on different type of operating hardware that is operating the Windows-based system. However, from Apple, it is more stable and less hiccups within hardware software communication. However, whenever the OS updates, some of these software manufacturers tend to have hiccups with the newer version of OS, in which it means compatible issues. So sometimes, depends on the DAW you will be using, you will have to be on a specific OS, or on the previous OS or the current OS that you're on, before you can make an update, if the software manufacturers haven't updated their software to the newer version of OS that has come out. So that are one of the thing with Apple OS. Whenever it updates, sometimes it renders certain software obsolete. So you have to wait until software manufacturers update for them software before you can really make an update over onto that OS X that the Apple is currently updated to. However, their software system, I think it is at Mojave at the time doing this video, from High Sierra. So you can really check that out if you're buying an Apple based laptop. And please note that for laptops, only probably hard drive and memory can really change. You can't really change CPUs or graphics card. However, for desktop computers now, Windows based desktop computers seem how how if you say this I know. You can't ever change out the parts them in it. You see, they can add components, depends on the type of motherboard that you have. For me, I'm still on the 1155 series motherboard for desktop computers, in which I'm using a Core i5 3570 on my two Windows based systems, one at home and one at the studio. Slightly running the same specs. With the studio, it is a ASRock 1155 motherboard with 8 gigs of memory, 250 some or 240 something SSD with 1 gigabyte graphics card and Firewire PCIe. Where's my miss one? Slave drives and a 4 terabyte external hard drive, in which on the Windows and the one at home now, it is a Asus full ATX 1155 motherboard with the same size hard drive, 6 gigabyte of memory, no slave drive, no PCIe with Firewire PCIe, and I have a 1 gigabyte graphics card in which it is AMD, and the one at the studio is NVIDIA, because these systems are really old. I'm currently using a 2012 system, but I have for many years now, to upgrade in the future. So what I'm advising you, do not go below these system specs that I have just laid out for you. It is working for me now as back then, because I had spent a lot of money back then to get the system up and running. Now it is still serving me after many years after, and I have built 2019 I have built a 2012 system, and it still seems to be working fine, and even better with these SSD that I'm using with it. However, I bought a 2009 21-inch iMac just for recording, in which recording on an Apple iMac is I don't know, for some reason it tends to sound a bit better than the Windows based system. But however, my ears tends not to use to that sound, so I happen not to be using it because of that sole purpose. But it is more stable. I have no hiccups with it, and it runs my DAW fine as is. So the specs on that is a Core 2 Duo processor, a 300 and something hard drive. I can't remember the graphics card that is in it, but it works fine. And 5 gigabytes of memory. I thought it come with 2 at the time, and I bought a 4 gig and put in it before, because when I bought the iMac, it came without OS on it for security reasons. They wrote in the description, so I had to put a version of OS on it that works well with it, so it don't really give me no hiccup whatsoever. On it, I think I'm running Mountain Lion, because I think at the time when the computer was made, it was made with that OS on it. So there you have it for this first video for this particular series. If you miss out anything, please write it in the description below. No, put it in the comment section if I have missed out anything. And before we move on, for newer desktop computers, the chipsets, the motherboard series is 1151. So if you're buying a new system build, make sure it's 1151 to future proof yourself, because 1151 system tends to go up to up to 7th, 8th, between 7 and 9 Gen series CPU. It has to do with the chipset also, so there's a lot more things on the 1151 model motherboards that you have to be mindful of. And the Gen series, what I would really recommend for music, if you not really overkill, is like 6 and 7 Gen. More like 7 Gen CPU. But if you're on a budget like I am or I did back in the day, you can settle for a 2012 system with a Core i7 3rd Gen CPU. So it is a matter of how much your budget is, you know, because in music, or if you're going to be dedicating yourself towards music, it's best if you just get good stuff and just call it a day. But if you're on a budget and still want to do this, the music, is might as well you get good budget stuff than cheaping out the things and then they crash, you start complaining about this and that and all sort of stuff in which it was your fault to be started with. So without further ado, it's your boy Eldorado, and we catch you in our next video when we go into more stuff, probably stuff where you might already know, but for who new in it and who don't know, this video is directly aiming at you, so you know, do nothing stupid like I did back in the day when we just start go equipment in our music. So until then, it's a boy Eldorado. Peace out.